For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber for instant analysis of USC's 12th practice of fall camp. And this was actually the last practice at Howard Jones Field where we'll be able to see the full practice. Next week starts the new media rules. But Dan, it was a good practice in the sense that it was shoulder pads for the Trojans. And I know we noted in last night's incident that's the good thing for USC. They practice well in the shoulder pads.
Yeah, I just think there's some things you can do that you can't do and when you're no pads. It's just there's some just basic. I mean, I think the offensive and defensive lines get so much more done that they just can't do without the shoulder pads. I think there's just they practice fundamentally in a fundamentally more sound way. I think when they have shoulder pads on, and then they can escalate a little bit, and you will see linebackers planting people or whatever, and. I just think they do their techniques more correctly and more, by the book. The way it's hard to do that when you're in no pads. It's just there's no way you can square up on somebody. There's no way. So I think that was good. I think I don't think they've had a practice that we haven't really liked in shoulder pads. So good for them. A good decision. I think some question as to whether they were going to wear pads or not, and I think they got the right answer.
Yeah, because last week for Thursday's practice they went no pads, and then no pads again for the Friday night walkthrough in the Coliseum. And they were doing another walkthrough tomorrow night. But Dan, what did you think from the quarterback play today? I know we keep talking about that, and that's the big question in this fall camp.
I think, like they always do, all of them made some plays and made some throws. I think JT has the benefit of he'll go 6 for 6, for example, or he'll be more. I think Clay used the word stability. He offered more stability out there. He was, pleased with JT, and yet JT had the one, pick six for Talanoa. He's just going crazy. A 70-yarder that JT needed to keep his progressions or go away from that. He just didn't see it, and Talanoa is so good at figuring out if it's not going there and it's not going there. Must be coming here, and he gets that start, and he's got that hand up, and boom, he's gone. What a week he's had.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, Helton commended Hufanga for the hat trick that he had this week. He said, I'm really glad that Hufanga's on our team and we're not playing against him because he's that talented. But as far as not just the quarterback position, but as far as all position battles go, do you feel like at this point in camp we can kind of get a sense for where guys are at as far as the depth chart goes?
Well, I think we do, and I think we get a sense that it's movable. I mean, for example, I think we saw Greg Johnson move in there, at nickel for Chase Williams. We've seen that what's going on the right side of the offensive line with Drew Risman going back to right tackle some, and Andrew Voys either moving to tackle or right guard, or Jalen McKenzie getting to play both positions, and we're seeing more of that. So I think what we're seeing is what they're doing in terms of the depth chart. I mean, I think what you like is you get a sense that practice matters, and what they do in practice is determining where they go in terms of the depth chart. And so you can't ask for any more than that they're determining, their own fate, and we can kind of see it play out. And it's not like if you're in there week one, you're going to be in there every week. I think that was obviously the big emphasis with not releasing a depth chart till Friday night and all of that. But I think the players have caught on to it really does matter how you produce in practice.
Yeah, so in that sense, I know a lot of people don't think that there's true competition going on, especially with the quarterback competition. Do you think that there is true competition where no guy feels like their spot is safe?
Yeah, I think there is. I mean, obviously at quarterback, the guy who made 11 starts last year, that's such a big advantage. So if you can say, and he does some things really well that maybe some of the others don't do quite as well. But yeah, I get the sense that there's nothing but competition going on, and they're giving all four of those guys. I guarantee you, I will say this: there's no team in America that's given four quarterbacks more opportunities than this team has in the first 12 practices.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't see that. I don't see almost anywhere where four guys get the opportunities that these guys have gotten. We were kidding about, and wonder if, and I won't say the name, one of the quarterbacks said, gee, I wonder if he's got a little bit of that, tired arm or dead. And I'm thinking, how often do you ever hear that when you've got 4 guys competing and all of them getting opportunities, which tells you how many reps they go through in a day.
Yeah, without a doubt. It was a Helton-only day today, so we got a full injury update, which I'll list for you here. So Amon-Ra St. Brown got a rest day today, but Helton said that he's kind of dealing with a slight hip groin irritation, but it didn't look too serious. Drake Jackson was out, but watched practice with glasses on, and that's because he has an eye infection. They dilated his eye today and flushed it out. I wonder it's probably from when he got poked in the eye a couple practices back. And then Max Williams has a hamstring issue. He's been, like I said, last instant dressed out, but has been kind of doing rehab and not real teamwork. Hunter Eccles and Elijah Winston both have turf toe. It looks like Eccles is a little bit further along as far as healing goes for his turf toe. Elijah Winston, Clay Helton said, will take a little bit longer, and he also is in a boot right now. And then Jacob Lichtenstein, we got word on that. He has a calf injury. He's been out for 6 weeks with it. Helton guess that it might take 2 more weeks for him to heal up as far as that goes. And then some mid-practice updates. Brandon Peely got back in it, was a full participant, and then got tangled up in a play, tried to go in the next play, and then sat down. A trainer came and helped him back up, and he kind of limped off and watched practice after that happened. And then Greg Johnson returned after not practicing on Wednesday, did some full team stuff, did special team stuff, but then later took off his shoulder pads and watched the latter half of practice. So injury updates there. Any observations from you, Dan?
That was pretty competitive, and it was good to have Greg Johnson back because it got him a chance to jump in there at nickel. I'm trying to think. I think that one of the differences with going in shoulder pads is as close to real game speed and game tempo. You can get a guy twisted around like Brandon Peely did, because the defense, man, they aren't giving them anything. I mean, and especially they've got their shoulder pads on, as they, were telling us yesterday. We're, stopping the run is priority number 1, and they flat out they're going to battle you on every play. You try to run the ball in there, and when you've got, both guys, both offense, defensive lines have their pads on. They pop it in there kind of like it's a game. I mean, it's not powder puff, and they really they go after it. So you might get some of these dings and that kind of thing, but I think it's worth it in terms of how hard it lets them go, how close it lets them go to game speed and game tempo. And Clay got on him. He wanted them to be game tempo. And go for longer drives and get maybe a little out of breath and just, lectured them to, this is how it's going to be. This is how how fast you have to play, and this is how you got to handle yourself in a long drive. And he said, I wanted them out of breath a little bit. And again, that you can do that so much better in full pad, in shoulder pads.
Yeah, and to his credit, we've seen Clay Helton over the course of this week and in fall camp bring the team in together and kind of give them a pep talk, a reminder of how hard they should be playing. And to your point, Dan, we've seen this team dial it back, and injuries still occur when that happens. So it's not like going in shoulder pads is the reason for all these injuries, which I know some people have suggested. But Dan, I know we talk about special teams a lot, but we talk about the punters. We haven't necessarily talked about the kickers, but we got to see more action from them today. What did you see?
They haven't really turned them loose. We saw Chase Mcgrath coming off that knee surgery. I think I had him down for 3 from 47, 3 field goals from 47. I mean, they weren't perfect from shorter than that. He and Michael Brown kind of went back and forth. I think Michael got 1 from that distance, but Chase Mcgrath looks like he's come back really well. And then we saw the kickoff guys for the first time really boot the ball in special teams teamwork, and both Alex Stadhouse and Michael Brown are busting the thing, halfway into the end zone and toward the corner. You couldn't ask for better kickoffs than we saw from them today. So, if you got Ben Griffiths and a couple of guys at both place kicking spots, not a bad way to be a couple of weeks before the season.
Yeah, without a doubt. Now, like I said, Friday is going to be the walkthrough in the Coliseum. We're closed out for that, so we won't be able to get to see that. But Saturday is the big fall showcase for fans and the media. We'll get to see this team. But Dan, you and I were talking, it's such an interesting thing for a team to do a couple weeks before the first game debuting a new offense.
Yeah, you're just wondering, are there any charter buses coming down from Fresno? People that just say, I'm just a football fan. I don't know that I've ever seen that especially against a really good team, a team that could maybe even be ranked, Fresno, and with a bunch of fans that are really excited about a chance to knock off USC. And here's USC, putting it out there in public.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. How it's going to go, I don't know. I mean, I know there are people saying, oh, they should run a bunch of stuff that they're not going to ever use and throw them off. You can't do that. You can't be practicing stuff that you're not going to actually use to throw them off, I don't think. But I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how that's going to be. I don't know. You can't confiscate cell phones.
I mean, they're pretty they're sticklers here in practice for families who show up. So I'm not sure what they're going to do. But in that sense, do you think it's going to be pretty vanilla?
I guess can they? They've got the clear bag policy. Do you have to put your cell phone in there?
I don't know.
And I don't know. Would they have a box of 500 cell phones? Or everybody's got a cell phone. Do they confiscate? I mean, we don't have to do that. That's the one real benefit for being in the media. We're allowed to bring all that stuff in. I don't even know our fans. You almost have to be allowed to have your phone, right?
Of course, yeah.
So I don't know how you would police that.
Well, I know in practice, and they've done it when they've had practices at the Coliseum, they just have security guys walking up and down and making sure no one has their phone out, not even texting. So I think that might be the case. But if there's a lot of people there, how do you do that? I mean, I guess, okay, but the bigger question, do you think that it's going to be a vanilla practice? You're not really going to get a sense for what this offense is? I mean, I know you said you have no clue, but I want to get something out of you.
Well, if you listen to Clay, it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah.
It sounds like he really wants it to be game prep, game-like, game everything. So he's all, unless he's really acting in a way that I don't know that we've seen him do that. Sure looks like he's just going to put it out there and say, here we are. And, the other theory is, hey, we do what we do. People are going to know what we do after the first game anyway. And we're just going to do it better than you can do it to stop us. However, there is kind of a built-in advantage to a first game with a new coach and a completely new offense. And maybe they're going to say, the heck with it, we're coming.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. We'll see, I guess. But that's going to wrap it up for day 12 of USC's fall camp. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.